Greetings everyone, welcome to ChessAdvancedd. This game was played in round 2 of FIDE World Cup. With the white pieces, we have the winner of FIDE Grand Swiss. We have Anish Giri facing off against Bojan Maksimovich, and this is going to be a really epic game, and the difference between their rating is roughly 200 points. So really Anish is the favorite one, but will he be able to win with the white pieces? The thing is that their first game was drawn. This is the second match, so let's see what Anish is capable of with the white pieces here. Anish starts with e4. We have e6 going for the French defense, d4 and d5. Now just going for knight to c3, bishop to b4. This is the winner variation. We have e5 going for the advanced variation, and here we have c5 just challenging those pawns in the center. a3 attacking the bishop. Bishop captures, b captures, and just knight to c6, and just queen to g4 in this position. This is all standard moves in whenever you want to be able to attack that, and here g6 is mostly forced, and here in this position you could start an immediate attack, and if you are really playing aggressively, you could go for this very nice move in this position, which is h4. And after h6, now you just go a4, playing on both sides of the board. I know it's a bad idea, but still, most likely, I mean, if you're playing really aggressively and if it doesn't ruin the position that very much, then everything is fine. Here queen to a5, most likely attacking that, but just bishop to d2, and after bishop to d7, now you just play this knight to f3. And most likely what's going to happen is a queenside castle, and after this d captures on c5 in this position, just you play queen captures, and bishop to d3, you just develop pieces. Most likely here white can castle kingside. White can also keep the king in the center, and with the queen being very active, you can remaneuver the queen to the other side of the board as well, somewhere along the line. And a5, a6, all of these ideas are on the horizon, and your position is absolutely amazing. Definitely would have been really nice, and this is how you're supposed to play this with the attacking h4. But after g6, here queen to f4 was played, and now just comes queen to a5, and here we have bishop to d2, c4 now, and now just comes even a4, h6, and here just h4, finally just going for the attacking line, and rook to h7 now, but now just going for knight to e2, bishop to d7, and even g4. So definitely you're ready to push. And castling here queenside, definitely a good idea, because all of the action is going to be here in this. So it's always better to just get your king towards safety. Here a queenside castle was played. Now just comes bishop to h3. Somewhere along the line you want to push those pawns, so maybe just not right now. Here king to b8, a nice prophylactic move, bishop to c1, and even king to 8. So 2 prophylactic moves in a row, and I've already shown a game on my channel where the 2 prophylactic moves came. I don't know if it was French or not, but definitely those 2 prophylactic moves just completely ruined the game, and where white just was completely winning after a few more moves. And in this position, unfortunately, that's not the case, so Anish is going to have to work for his meal. A bishop to a3 was played, and now just comes rook to e8, king to d2, and just queen to d8 was played. You could have also gone for a move like f6 in this position, and yes, it works, because here after e caps on f6, you go for g5, and this is the idea. This is a very nice, brilliant pawn sacrifice. Here after h captures, you play queen caps on g5, and it looks losing, but the thing is that it's absolutely fine. Now you go back with the queen, and once you play the queen back, now here bishop to e7, very nicely attacking it, but you'll just trade here knight captures, f captures, and knight captures in this position, and your position will be fine. What you'll get in compensation is that these 2 rooks will have open files to work with, and that's definitely going to be important, because the king is still stuck in the center. Your king is much more safe than white king, and I think that would have been really nice compensation. Although you have made some sacrifices, and this pass pawn is going to be something that you would have to take care of, but I don't think so that's going to be that much huge of a compensation for white to be able to just completely win right from there. But for black, definitely you would have some really nice activity. But here after king to d2, just immediate queen to d8 was played, not trading any more pieces. But now comes g5. You allowed it, so definitely it's going to be coming. And here just h5, just closing and locking in the position. But you've locked in the position here towards the supposed king side, and the fact is, where are you trying to just move your pieces? Because you're not playing on the king side here, you're not going to be playing on the queen side, because here white is just completely going to be annihilating you. And the thing is that open b file is going to be really powerful. So how are you and where are you trying to create some counterplay for your pieces? And that's a question that Maksimovich should have asked himself, because this is a very going to be a very passive position. You're going to have to defend throughout the game, and one mistake and your position would collapse. And hey, that's exactly Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I'll just show you what happened here. Rook h2 b1, and now just comes this knight g2 e7, and here queen to f3, but just knight to c8, and now queen to f, even h1, and here knight to b8. Now both of these knights just on the really passive rim because you don't have anywhere to put it. And now in this position, f4, just cementing that pawn structure very decently. And here just bishop caps on a4, finally grabbing that pawn. But is it okay to grab that pawn? Can you just grab that pawn and get away with it? Well, technically in this position you can get away with it, but there is a beautiful move in this position where you can try to create some chances for yourself. And no, it's not f5, it's actually queen to c1, trying to get the queen here to be able to just help out with the attack, because somewhere along the line the bishop is going to move. It will come as an attack towards the bishop, and with these two rooks occupying this open file, you're going to have a really nice game. Let's say you try b6 in this position because you don't like the rooks just eyeing your king like that, and after bishop to c5 in this position, opening up and also targeting that, you play b caps on c5, rook captures on a4. If you try to go for this and capture that, well, then all hell will break loose, because here c captures on d4. If you try to just gain that pawn, here just queen to b2 will be played, and after queen to c7, just trying to guard against checkmate. But there's just so many moves in this position, but one such move that's coming to my mind is a brilliant move. Can you spot that move? I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try and find out the only winning move in this position, which just completely crumbles the game right on the spot. So have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is, well, knight caps on d4 works just fine, but what's more pleasing to the eye? Sacrificing the rook with the rook captures on c4. And now if you go for this d captures on c4, well, it's a mate in 3, because first bishop to g2 check, and you don't have any follow-up. If you go for this knight to c6, then we have bishop caps on c6, and after queen captures, this is going to be a very nice checkmate. So all of this was in the position, but again, I don't think so his opponent Maksimovich would have fallen for all of these things, but still it just creates a nice tone for the game, that you would have something to attack, and all of these sacrifices would have existed. So I decided to show you this line. But after bishop caps on a4, here f5 was played by Anish, and f5 is a very brilliant pawn sacrifice in this position. And Maksimovich, will he make a mistake in this position? But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Here g caps on f5 was played. Now just comes knight to f4, just occupying that, and we have even bishop to c6, just getting that bishop back, defending everything, not pushing any pawns, and not making any committal decisions here. Bishop to g2, and down just comes knight to e7, bishop caps on e7, queen captures, and just bishop to f3. Now just comes rook e to h8, queen to c1, finally going for that idea. But where are you going to be putting the queen to be able to try and attack, because everything is defended now aside from this a7 pawn? And here just a6 was played, not even bothered to just trying to keep everything closed, not even giving a single chance to Anish in this position. Anish just goes for calmly queen to b2, says that you don't have any opening here towards the king side. I'm targeting queen side, and you have castle queen side, so I have a chance where to target and where to point my pieces at. Do you know where to point your cannons at? Well, definitely not. Here just knight to d7, and here queen to b4 was played. If you trade queens in this position, it seems like a decent move. I mean, why not just go for the queens? Because, well, the queen was very powerful, and after c captures, you just play c3 with a check. King captures. Now the thing is that this entire sacrificial idea of this pawn was basically that you can get the rook in and try to harass this white king, so you would have some chances. Those doubled rooks towards the h file are not doing anything. And here, if you try to go for this bishop to b5, you're exactly just doing that, because here after g6, and yes, you can play that, because after f captures, here just knight captures on e6 will be played. The base of the pawn chain is gone. Now those pawns are going to be really vulnerable. So here first rook to c8 check, king to b3, knight to b6 now, and your piece activity is just basically gonna compensate for the fact that your base of the pawn chain is missing. But still, knight to c5, most likely you can play g5 in this position. You can go for knight to c4. Maybe you can also go for rook to c6. Position is fine, well, for the moment, but the thing is that you need to be careful about the pass pawns, and you need to be careful about this knight as well. And the king is very, very weak, so all in all, this would have been fine. But after queen to b4, queen to f8 was played, and queen to f8, you can see the engine evaluation shifting up, because now you do have g6. The thing is, I can go for g6 in this position, and f captures, and as I showed you in that previous line, just knight captures. Here queen would be under attack, but you do have this check very nicely connecting with the knight. But I also have this knight to g5, so all of these would be there in the position, but you need to be a little bit careful. So after queen to f8, here queen to e5 was played, and trading queens maybe not that not that best of decisions that here Maksimovich made, because he was supposed to trade queens to be able to survive. And queen to a5, maybe not the best of moves. G6 was completely winning in this position, but Anish misses it. Queen to a5, because both players are down on the clock here around 10 minutes, and they still need to make roughly 8 more moves to be able to reach time control. Here queen to c8 was played, and now just comes king to e3, just getting the king on even e3, and you're not bothered about anything here. Rook to g7, now just comes rook to b2, king to a7, and just king to f2, and now just comes queen to b8. Here both players trying to reach time control and playing calm moves, but here any mistake in this position would prove to be fatal. Here rook b to a2 was played, now just comes queen to c8, rook to b2, and again queen to b8. So both players not going for a draw, but just getting that time on their clocks. So here rook a to b1, queen to d8, and just queen to b4 was played, now putting some pressure here, but everything is defended. Here queen to c7, now just comes queen to e7, infiltrating the position, but here in this position just rook h to h7 was played. But now there was a very nice move in this position. You could have gone for queen to d8 in this position, again asking for a trade, because trading the queens would mean that you would be able to go for a draw. And if you try for queen to d6 in this position, just queen to a5, and my queen would be very active. And if I try to go for anything in this position, let's say I try to go for king to e2, maybe just a passive, maybe just a waiting move. The thing is that you cannot grab this pawn. Don't even think about grabbing this pawn. If you grab this pawn, then all hell will break loose in this position. Can you spot the move? Well, I'm just going to show it nonetheless. You have this beautiful move in this position, a beautiful sacrifice, which is knight captures on d5, and your entire position will collapse, because the bishop opens up with this. The rooks are already eyeing this. My queen is already here, and you can see what I'm cooking here. Bishop captures on d5, now just comes a rook captures on b7, not even bothered to capture the bishop first. And after bishop captures, now you go for rook captures on b7, and here you're just getting mated. If king to a8, just queen captures on a6 will be checkmate. So all of this was here after king to e2, but the move that you will play in this position is actually rook to d8. Just put the rook here, and I'm just eyeing that queen, and it's defended by the queen as well. So here king to d2, you just play rook to b8, rook to b4, and after this queen to d8, now you just play rook to g1. So you're going to have to shuffle your pieces. Queen to f8, you just play queen captures, rook captures, and the game will go on with both players having roughly equal chances, and most likely this position should have ended in a draw. But after queen to e7, rook h to h7 was played, and these two rooks are not doing anything, and now they're much worse. He just knight captures on h5, and are you willing to sacrifice here? Well, you should not. First of all, if you sacrifice there, then your entire position would collapse, and the thing is that there is not a better move in this position other than that, and that's why in this position here Maksimovich goes for rook captures on h5, sacrificing his exchange. Bishop captures and just rook to h7, and here we have bishop captures on f7, but your entire position is about to crumble here. There is not much you can do, and here rook captures on h4. Now you do have a few checks in this position. If the queen somehow could just reach here, I mean, that would be absolutely spectacular. From daydreaming, you don't actually can get the queen there. Here bishop captures on e6 was played, and now all of your pawns here, and you don't have anything. If rook to f4 check, which was played in the game, king to e2, rook to e4 check, king to d2, queen to a5, now trying to just infiltrate, but you have bishop captures on d7 even. A rook captures on d4 was played, trying to just gobble up the pawn and also utilizing the pin. A king to c1, but just queen captures on c3. But now in this position here, queen to c5 check was played, and it was on this move, on just move 48, that Maksimovich resigned the game. But why did he resign? Because you don't have anything else in this position. Because let's say you try to go for king to a8, the thing is that it's a forced mate in 7. Here first queen to f8 check. Once the king moves, rook captures on b7, and after bishop captures, rook captures, king captures, yes, you sacrifice everything, and after queen to c8 check, king to b6, and after this queen to c6 check. Obviously here in this position you cannot go here, because the queen to c5 would be actually a checkmate. So if you try to go here in this position, which king to a7, and try to think that maybe you have survived everything, here this check, and once you go here, this will be actually checkmate, which would have appeared on the board. And that's why here after queen to c5, he resigned the game, and Anish got this spectacular victory. And with this victory in the second round of the FIDE World Cup, in the second match, here Anish is moving to the third round, and in absolute spectacular style. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.